Hospital reporters Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, a watch party introduction. Now I said a little while ago that it would be nice to have another watch party. I mean, I'm really getting into these now. I think this is my fourth and you guys like them too, and so I'm going to carry on doing as many as I can. This particular watch party is one based on actually a request from a viewer who asked for this film to be made into a watch party, and I've decided to agree. As it happens, it's a film that I know very well, I've watched many times, and it's one of my favourites. It's called Jacob's Ladder. This is a 1990 film by Adrian Lyne. It was written by Bruce Joel Rubin, interesting character he is, and it stars Tim Robbins, he's been in a lot of interesting films, that guy actually. And there's a couple of less well-known actors as well, and actresses, Elizabeth Pena and what's his name? Danny Ilo, I think I pronounced that right. And this is a film. Its title is very interesting. The title, Jacob's Ladder, is called it's a famous biblical story. Jacob, this character from the Genesis in the Bible, he's of course well known. He plays a major role throughout the beginning of the Bible. What do they call it? I can't remember what they call the first few books of the Bible. But you know, Genesis, Exodus, things like that. He's famous because he has dreams. He has interesting dreams. And one of the dreams he has is that and it's open to interpretation. It doesn't have an obvious meaning, such as the one where he predicts the famine. Remember the cows, that he sees the thin cows and the fat cows and things like that. He predicts 7 years of famine in one of his dreams, which allows the Pharaoh in Egypt to prepare. This dream is open to interpretation. He sees a ladder coming down from heaven, and it's a strangely surreal image. He sees angels coming up and down the ladder, and so this is where the name Jacob's Ladder comes from. Now, if you're going to watch this, first of all, there's many copies of this around the place. It's available for just a couple of quid online. Now, the original final cut, there's a long story behind this, but basically the original final cut is not good enough. But basically you can't really watch this film, and I learned this much later on, because although I like the film, I've always enjoyed the film. I like its theme, I like its imagery, it's really quite frightening camera work and score and things like that, and the acting and stuff. It doesn't make sense. There are like two plots running through the entire film, and they don't really cohere, and the film ends without these two plot lines coming together. Instead, there's this stupid at the beginning of the credits, there's this stupid statement, you know, trying to explain one of the plots with just a bit of explanation. Of course, every good writer knows, don't ever explain anything. You have to show, not explain. Except there's this big sign which says, oh, bloody, I won't spoil it for you, but it says, it's like a kind of it's almost like a kind of fourth wall kind of documentary kind of thing, saying blah blah blah, and it sort of explains the plot. Now there's some outtakes. There's quite a lot of outtakes. In fact, 20 minutes was cut from this film. I'm sure that's partly due to studio constraints, because studios always want to make films as short as possible so they can get as many showings as possible in a single day of screening at the cinema. Get as many bums on seats as possible. If you have a 2-hour film, you know, can you fit maybe 3 screenings a day? And I think the cinema charge the same whether you're going in to watch a 2-hour film or a shorter film. So they want to get the film as short as possible. They have 5 screenings a day, 6 screenings a day, you know, things like that. So that's probably one of the reasons. But also, there's these outtakes which you can get on YouTube. If you have any trouble finding them, I mean, they're on there. They've been there for years. If you have any trouble finding them, let me know, because I have downloaded them. I can send them to you. but really they're very easy to find. You just go to YouTube and put Jacob's Ladder outtakes, and they're there, and you can actually see the. I mean, the most important outtakes. I mean, 20 minutes were cut from the film. The most important scene is like, it's quite long. It's about 10 minutes long, and it fits in just before the final scene. So it's basically. There's a final scene basically when, well, I don't want to put in spoilers, but there's a scene where he's in a taxi cab being taken to his old home, and this is the final scene of the film, and this outtake fits in just before then, so you know when to like pause the DVD or whatever platform you're watching it online, and just watch the outtakes then. But by the way, do you like my new camera? I've changed the camera angle slightly, so you can see Russell there poking over my shoulder. So I had it previously a bit lower looking up. I'm now having it at eye level. So yeah, do look at the outtakes. If those outtakes had been put in the film, the whole film would have made sense. Oh. Now, whatever you do, right, I am talking about the 1990 original by Adrian Lyne. Please do not watch the 2019 remake. Well, I will watch it if you want, but it's shit. Certainly, please don't watch it before you watch the original, whatever you do. It's absolute shit. I started watching it on Amazon and I just switched it off because there's actually a scene. It's a really cheap copy, as remakes tend to be, which is why I get annoyed that there's so many remakes in Hollywood these days. It's like they're losing their creative power. And so they're just like trying to regurgitate old ideas, and they always do them in a really pale and stupid and cringy version of what was the original, the great original they created, which really insults the original, I think. I mean, there's exceptions like King Kong, as I've said, but you know, apart from that, these remakes are just really annoying. There's actually a scene in the remake which is almost a reproduction, shot for shot, of one in the original. It's where Jacob is on the underground train, and it's a quite famous scene. Yeah, I mean, you can see it in the trailer actually, so I'm not spoiling anything. They reproduce that almost shot for shot in the 2019 remake, and it's just really insipid. It really is a sugary, slimy, splattered attempt to recreate the original. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So don't watch the 2019 remake, at least until after you've seen the original. As always with these introductions, there'll be no spoilers. I won't put any spoilers that are not in the trailer. Obviously, what the intention is, once you've seen this introduction, is to go away, watch the film, and then watch my review, and we'll do a live stream. These watch parties come in 3 stages: introduction, review, live stream. So after you see this introduction, please go and watch the film, and do not watch the review until you've watched the film, because the review will contain spoilers. I say review, see, I know this film very well, but I'm going to watch it again, because the same with They Live. I know They Live very well, but I did re-watch it for the purposes of making this particular watch party review, because I might spot something new about it. I haven't seen it for a couple of years, so I always, when I'm doing these watch party live streams, these watch party reviews, I always re-watch whatever it is that I'm reviewing, even if it's a film I know backwards. So the plot, basically, Jacob, he's a young chap, played by Tim Robbins, and he's a postman, and he lives in New York City, USA. Now, I don't know why that particular place is the scene for so many films, but it is. I mean, it's almost every other film in the world is set in that one city, and I don't know why. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a major cultural centre, I know that. But see, it's true, isn't it? Almost every film is set in New York City. Almost every single one. Well, probably at least half of them are set in that city. I mean, if you, I've never been to New York, but if you do, I bet anyone who goes there probably walks down the street bumping into a film set every couple of blocks, because they're always making films there. Anyway, he's a postman who this is in the mid-1970s. It's set. So it's set a few years before the film was first produced, and like his biblical namesake, Jacob has a lot of dreams. Now, the dreams is very strange, because when he's asleep, he has dreams about his past, and he he was a soldier in the Vietnam War, and he has dreams about a time when he was attacked. And there's one particular incident within that war in which he's attacked, and lots of strange things happen. It's always a bit weird. All the other soldiers start acting very strangely, and then he is stabbed by a bayonet on a rifle by someone you can't see, an unknown assailant. And then in the next dreams, he's been rescued by the medical orderlies and taken by helicopter to a field hospital. And this is basically how it goes on. It starts off with everything normal. They're just off duty, lounging around in this village in Vietnam, smoking and things like that. And they're smoking some weed because that was sort of tacitly allowed in that war. Suddenly there's bombs start exploding everywhere. You hear gunfire, and they realise they're under attack. Then the soldiers all start acting weird. Then Jacob is stabbed. Then he's picked up by the medical orderlies, and he's rescued and taken by helicopter to the field hospital. That's the sequence of the dreams. It's not just dreams he has, though. He has experiences in his waking life too, which are utterly terrifying. It's very, very well designed. I mean, this is the team. This is kind of like the production team also worked on films by Wes Craven, and you know how scary they are, you know, Evil Dead and things like that. Sam Raimi. Oh no, it was Sam Raimi, wasn't it? But anyway, Wes Craven's a really, really good horror director. So it really is scary. I'd say this is a frightening movie. It's not for the faint-hearted. It might give you nightmares. It's not like, indeed it's quite original actually. The kind of experiences he had, which is put down to hallucinations, these hallucinations he has are actually they're not normal. They're kind of original. They're original, and none of it was done in post-production. All of it is in studio work. There's no post-production special effects at all. It's all models. It's all models. It's all costumes. It's all makeup. You may notice that, for example, that all the characters have biblical names. Jacob himself, like his biblical namesake, he's a dreamer. All the other characters have biblical namesakes except one, and I won't tell you which one it is. You'll work it out, but he's a character who plays a very important role in the story. Now, as I said, there are some. I said there was no post-production special effects, no post-production special effects. However, there was a couple of filming techniques. Now, there's one particular filming technique which is particularly noted, and it's particularly signified, and it was kind of pioneered with this particular film. And this is they basically filmed someone at a low frame rate, shaking their heads like that, doing that at a very low frame rate. And then when the film is played at normal rate, it really looks like they're shaking their heads very, very violently, much faster than anyone could really in real life, and that is actually pretty scary. And it's used. You may have seen this before. If you've seen it before, it's not he who invented it. He copied it, but David Malone, in his document, I think it's Soul Searching, you may have seen he uses that same technique to great effect. Now, the actual one of the most interesting figures in this film is Bruce Joel Rubin, because he's the screenwriter, and he's a very interesting person, because this film Jacob's Ladder has very, very deep spiritual themes, not just supernatural and paranormal, but very spiritual. And when I found out, it didn't quite surprise me this, but Rubin also worked on the film Ghost. In fact, he wrote the script for the film Ghost, the story and the screenplay. And Ghost and Jacob's Ladder were actually both bought up by Paramount Pictures as a package. Jacob's Ladder was dropped and then picked up by Carolco Pictures, and then the production continued under a new studio. But of course, Ghost did go on to be produced by Paramount, and that was a much better known film, which is also very good. It's also very good. If you want to do a watch party about that, we'll do Ghost as well. That's Ghost is the one with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. About again, it's pretty unique. What's it like to be a ghost? There's another film called Brainstorm that Rubin wrote, which I haven't seen, but sounds fascinating. Because this, basically, the screenwriter, his background was that he comes from a Jewish family, and I don't know how orthodox they were, but he goes off into alternative spiritual ideas, and he actually spent some time in a Tibetan monastery. And the film does explore those kinds of concepts, which, as you know from watching my channel, I'm very interested in those things as well, although I haven't quite plucked up the courage to go to a Tibetan monastery just yet. I'm too fond of glasses of wine and things like that, you know. This Jacob's Ladder is quite a difficult production. As I said, it was signed up by a studio that later dropped it and then picked up by another. And Rubin actually spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time trying to sell his script. He actually wrote this. He first started the script in 1980, and so it was 10 years between, you know, pen to paper and then bums on seats in cinemas. The release. It was quite a long period of time. He spent several years trying to sell his script to various producers and couldn't. Eventually, like Adrian Lyne the director managed to persuade one of them to take it on, because Lyne read the script and said it was really great. He says, I want to direct this film. And so that's how Jacob's Ladder eventually came about. But there were a lot of arguments actually between Lyne and Rubin about how the story should progress, and about some of the themes within it, some of the nature of the monsters and things like that, because there's some horrible creatures in it, and there's a scene where, this is again no spoilers here, but there's a scene in which Jacob, one of his hallucinations, in which he experiences a kind of like a hell-like scenario. And Rubin wanted to make it more traditional, more conventional, a bit like, you know, Dante's Inferno or something. Well, that was a working title for the film, incidentally, before for the script. But of course, then Lyne decided on something different. But what Lyne actually created in the hell scene is really, it really is shit your pants scary. It really is. It's kind of like as I said, I don't want to put spoilers in, but it has a hospital-like theme to it. And I used to joke with it. I used to joke when I was a porter, because I sometimes used to take empty. I had when I dropped off patients after a transfer, I used to take the empty trolley along the service tunnels, and I used to joke with other porters about Jacob's Ladder. When you watch the film, you'll know what I mean. The budget, 25 million. It's quite a low budget for a big Hollywood movie. Apparently, I think $25 million sounds like a lot of money. Probably was more in those days than it is now, because this film is now, blimey, it's over 30 years old. But apparently that's quite low. That's quite a low budget for a big Hollywood movie. Probably lower than Ghost. And but tell you what, you don't need a lot, do you? I mean, as I said, I'm quite fond. My favourite film of all, Cloud Atlas, is quite a low budget independent film. It's actually, well, Cloud Atlas is actually the most high budget independent film of all, but it's low compared to like a major blockbuster. And it was sort of crowdfunded from the cast and crew as well to get it finished. So yeah, I mean, you don't need a lot of money to make a great movie. You don't. I've come back to this theme many times. It's a kind of an evergreen one, to quote Niall Murphy of Through an Opaque Lens. But you know, there's some of the best TV shows and some of the best movies have really cruddy special effects, and then you get some with really good special effects that are bloody awful. So that's it, guys. Okay, so come here, thank you. My monitor went a screensaver. That's part of my lighting effect, is my monitor. Yeah. So guys, you know what to do. Go off and watch the movie. At some point soon, and I don't know when it's going to be. It may be a bit of a long wait, because I've got a lot coming up next week, and I'm going away. I'm going away to Blackpool, of course. As I mentioned before, I'm going to excuse me. I'm going to the Awakening Blackpool event. Excuse me. So go away and watch Jacob's Ladder, the original 1990 version, and then I'll do, when you've watched it, watch the review. If you are watching this introduction after I've posted the review, then watch the film before you watch that particular video. Otherwise, just go and watch the film, and we then watch the review when I post it, and then we will reconvene for the live stream sometime after that. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did, because I think it's a bloody good film. Scary, prepare to be shocked, and prepare if you're faint of heart, you know. But it's absolutely fantastic. It's a very, very intellectual, deep philosophical horror movie. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.